My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here, and looking forward to connecting and chatting with everybody that's here today. So thank you all for coming.
Awesome. So the reason we asked David to come here is because, we're always trying to help you make the best of your auction and event fundraisers, and then holistically for your organization to raise money and raise awareness. And David is an expert in the area of websites and marketing and all that good stuff. And when he and I were chatting, I said, how about a webinar? He said yes. And I said, awesome. So that leaves us here. He has a lot of information to share. We will record the webinar. You will get a replay. We'll have the slides. David has a giveaway at the end. He even customized an Octria event website that we will be putting in our global templates. So we have gone 360 degrees to make sure that you make the impact that you want. I always ask people where they're tuning in from, what kind of organization they're supporting. If they want to put that in the chat, that would be super fabulous. Sometimes people make friends there. I'm in sunny South Florida. David, where are you today?
I am in Toronto, Canada.
A little chilly up there or not yet?
It was, and then it warmed up today. My son was in a track and field meet yesterday, and it was pouring rain. It was 6 degrees Celsius here, which is somewhere I think around 50 Fahrenheit. And then now it's 22. It's 22 out Celsius right now. So what is that exactly? See, to Fahrenheit, 70, about 72 degrees here today.
So. Oh, that's nice. That's my
much
kind
better.
Of number. That's my kind of number. I'll go ahead and give you the keys and let you go ahead and chat. And people, the people in the chat, if you have questions, drop it in the chat. If it's something related, we can talk about it right then and there. And if it is a little bigger question, we can pin it till the end. Does that work for you, David?
That's perfect. I've got time for Q&A at the end for sure.
Awesome. It looks like we're going north, south, east, west here today. We're going both directions.
Yeah, and Tracy's here representing Canada also. Welcome.
Yes, yes.
And a small town, Kevin called Banff. Yeah, so we've got some others in Florida and South Africa, Cape Town. That's awesome. So glad everybody is able to make it today. I know we're all busy, so being able to actually carve some time out from our day to focus on the business side of the organizations is just as important as doing the work that you all are doing in the organizations. So thank you all for going, you know what, we need to focus on this a bit.
Awesome.
Great. So good for me to start going here, Lori?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
It looks like you have your screen shared. You want to do that, or does that work for you?
Yeah, I've got the screen sharing here. Everybody, you all can see my screen, right? You can see the 3 easy ways to increase your donations?
Yes.
Yeah? Awesome. All right. So basically today I'm going to be talking about why you need to optimize your nonprofit's website and all the great benefits that has to offer. I'm going to talk about 3 different shifts that you need to make in your nonprofit to make it a success. So I'm just curious where people are at in terms of your digital marketing journey. So in the chat, just let me know, like, have you done your website recently? Or like, how recently was your website last done? Do you have ongoing budget kind of set aside to work on the website? Or maybe you have no website at all?
That's a good question, because I mean, websites just change all the time, right? Whether it be your individual content or just overall view and modernization. Is that correct, David?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be about a 3-year shift. So every 3 years or so, you should really kind of start looking at your website again and going through a refresh. But it also depends on who your primary audience is that you're trying to target. So if you're going after a younger audience, I would say maybe under 30, you probably want to work on a redesign maybe every 2 years. If the typical person that you're trying to connect with as your primary audience is maybe over 50 or over 60, you can push that back a little bit longer. Typically, folks that are younger are more engaged with technology, and as trends kind of change over time, you want to stay up to date with that.
Awesome. It looks like we have a couple answers in here. Can you see them, or did you want me to rattle them off?
I've got them up right here as well. So working on a revamp. Awesome.
Oh no, where did David go? David, did you click your AV pod by accident? Oh, he did say he was in here twice by accident. There he goes.
I don't know what's with the camera.
Sorry about that. You know what? The original David one came up here, so.
Oh, that is weird. Using the right mic now. Let me just switch my camera. I've got a couple cameras here. There.
That's okay.
Hey, sorry about that.
That's okay.
And the screen sharing button is here. Let's go back to this share. Technology is amazing when it's working the way that you want it to.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, Sarah, I love that you're working on a site for Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is December 3rd this year. So really we've got like 4.5 weeks, something like that. If you haven't started thinking about Giving Tuesday, you need to start next week, starting to think about Giving Tuesday and putting your stuff together, your collateral, your emails, your marketing campaigns, your websites, your social media posts, all that type of stuff. Anyways, that's totally off topic here. Planning to do a redo. Awesome. So it sounds like a lot of you are starting to either work on your website or working on revamping your site. And Denise finished your auction website for 2025 with Octria. Great. That's awesome. Love to see that. Okay. All right. So let's really kind of get in the meat here of the webinar session here. So typically, these are the top 3 problems that clients come to us with. So typically, website doesn't look and feel at the quality or level of your organization's mission. They have a hard time understanding how to save time on their website management so they can focus on other priorities. Lord knows that we all wear like 80,000 different hats and you're being stretched in every direction, right? So if we can save time and effort on web, let's do that, right? And websites underperforming, you might not even have a sense of how much traffic or low traffic your website's getting. And then there's also the engagement with potential donors, volunteers, that type of thing. So by the end of the session today, you're going to learn some quick visual fixes to modernize your website, some current design trends. I'm going to talk about responsive design a little bit. I'm going to talk about solutions that will make your life easier when you're managing your website. And lastly, how to leverage Google in your favor so that you can place appropriate calls to action and the importance of analytics, right? And that's how we can engage across different channels and platforms. So I've got like 6 things, and I hope this doesn't like totally overwhelm me here, but as I go through the presentation today, I want you to think about these things, right? So how much time do you spend on your website, and what is your process for updating your website? How up to date is your website for your organization as of today? How does your website work for you as a team member? You really need to think about the website as an employee that's working 24/7 for you. How does the website help communicate your mission to potential board members even, right? And how easy is it for people to use and to navigate, to find what they're looking for? And the last one is the type of content that you publish, right? And the amount of traffic that you get to that content. All right, so a little bit interactive today. So in chat, Carly, I love that websites. Yes, your website is always absolutely working for you, for sure. So in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, just type in how happy are you about the results that you're getting from your website?
That's a whole other webinar, isn't that? On analytics and having it show up in the right place and all that other good stuff.
Absolutely. I can probably talk for like an hour and a half just about just about that for sure. All right, so we've got like a mix of numbers here, but they all kind of seem to fit somewhere around a 5 average. If I were to give these an average here, there's a couple question marks in here. So Sharon and Linda got some questions there.
We've got
Sharon's
some
got
no idea ones.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is just something to kind of keep in your mind about like how you're actually feeling about your site. At the end of the day, you really want to be excited about your website. And one of the problems that you could probably relate to, nobody is really looking at your website as much as you are, right? So if you haven't updated your site in, let's say, maybe 4 years or 5 years, maybe longer, right? You're probably looking at the site pretty a couple times a week, I imagine, right? And that's where it becomes a problem, because people out in the public aren't looking at your site that frequently, or they're likely not looking at your site that frequently, right? So we also need to kind of put that in mind to help frame the whole experience. Okay, so thinking about that, like a lot of 5s, some 4s, a 3, I think there was a 7 or 2 in there, 6. Where do you want your website to actually be, right? And how do you want your website to serve your organization to help drive your mission forward, right? So those are some other items there. All right, so for everybody attending, I've got an ebook. It's how to 3 simple words to increase your donations by 20%. So we'll get that over to you after the webinar. We're going to have hopefully a bit of time here for some Q&A. And I've got a prize drawing that we're going to do live with like a spin the wheel type thing on the webinar today, where one of you will win a $3,800 prize package. So that's pretty cool. So hi, I'm David Paceric. I'm the CEO, the founder of Wow Digital. We work with nonprofits and charities who are looking for an improved online presence. I've got over 30 years of web design, marketing, and branding experience, specifically with over 24 years now in nonprofit full-time web marketing and branding. I've been interviewed on a number of nonprofit podcasts. I've been cited in a PhD dissertation. I've taught web design and programming at 2 colleges. I was the lead developer in the dot-com boom of '99, where my work raised over $1 million in capital funding in 7 weeks. And we went public on the Toronto Stock Exchange. That was a really crazy time. I worked full-time in nonprofits from 2000 to 2016, and that's when I started Wow Digital. We're in our 8th year. We've completed over 270 projects for nonprofits, NGOs, and charities. My team and I evaluated over 400 nonprofit and foundation websites. So we've got some learnings from that I'm going to talk about today. And finally, in 2021, I started the Nonprofit Digital Success Podcast. I would encourage you all, because I'm pandering to you right now, to go and subscribe. We've actually just, episode 101 or 102 is live now. We've got about 106 or 7 in total that we have an extra 4 or 5 that are recorded and ready to go. We're on pretty much every major platform: YouTube, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, Pocket Casts. There's many more that we're on as well. But the real reason that I'm here is to empower 5,000 nonprofits to positively impact 10 million lives through digital solutions. So whether you hire me, you don't hire me, if you take one piece of insight from today and you go and implement it, you're helping me get closer to hitting this goal. So thank you all for coming here. All right. So here's just a couple clients that we've helped over the past couple of years. And like I said earlier, thank you so much for joining on the webinar. I know you're busy. You've got lots to do. But why we're here is to talk about how to get better results from your digital marketing, right? And why your website should be a key part of telling your nonprofit story. And I'm going to also talk about, how you can do it without really touching any code. A lot of the nonprofits that we speak with, they are really non-technical. And so we want to help them out and talk about other ways that they can manage their website without coding anything. So you're likely aware that your website and your content is a problem. You might not know exactly what the problem is, but you might think maybe your messaging on the website, your social channels, other mediums are not communicating cohesively and showcasing you in the best light possible. You say to yourself, and maybe if you feel like being honest, we're not connecting with the people that we actually really want to connect with, right? You're already overworked because there's a bazillion things that you're managing and working on and keeping on top of your mind. And you don't really have the time to deal with the quote unquote problem of your website. You might have different systems and they're disconnected from one another. One of our clients, they had just for their website, and their website was about 40 pages. They had 3 different logins that they had to go through and 3 different platforms for managing their website. That was a fun one to kind of sort out.
Explode.
Right? You know, you don't have time and you might not even be sure exactly where to start because it might just be like a feeling of overwhelm, right? But we know that if you don't fix this problem, you're going to risk losing donors and volunteers to other organizations. None of our organizations, none of our clients, none of you are really unique in what you're doing. You might be unique for the area that you're in, but there are other organizations, and I'm going to call them competitors, right? I mean, we're all here for social good. We're all here to try to do better. But at the end of the day, there's only so many dollars in people's pockets, right? So if you're not fighting, but you're trying, let's flip that on the positive side. If you're trying to get donations from somebody, right? Think about how many other organizations are trying to hit that person up for donations, right? So in that way, they're competitors. The reality is likely that you're missing a digital strategy. Maybe you had a digital strategy years ago. Maybe it was something you created, you know, sitting in a boardroom and everybody leaves the meeting feeling really psyched, ready to take action. But then the reality of all the day-to-day work that you have to do kind of hits and things just kind of get backburnered. Quite often with our clients, it takes too long to update content in their website. It could be really frustrating. Anybody else kind of like feel that way about your existing site? And a big part of the plan and a big part of the pain points that I'm talking about is that the website and how cumbersome it is to administrate it. You know that it needs to be better, but might not know exactly where to start. So I'm going to talk about all that today. I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to know in order to have a more effective plan. So this is just an example here. We worked with our client, Coca. This is their old site, and this is their new one. They had a few different systems. They didn't know where all their login details were. We helped them consolidate their platform into one clear backend control panel to run their organization. We implemented a new content management system, so anybody that has access can go in and make updates to their site. You don't need to be a web pro. And they're saving about 3 to 4 hours a month just in consolidating and training them on how to manage the website. So we're not talking about messaging or automation, which are things that we've worked with them on as well. And all the other kind of like, I'm super geeky. I'm going to say like the cool things that we can do in terms of that type of stuff. But by consolidating, they're actually developing a better digital strategy to help them move forward, and they're saving time, which is an invaluable resource. So at the end of the day, really you need to say, hey, like, do we want to have a better functioning digital strategy, a better website, a better platform for us to use? And so what I'd like you all to do is write down the answer to this question. If you want to put it in chat, cool. If you want to just write it down on a piece of paper, or notepad or iPad or whatever you've got. Over the next 12 months, if you can save 3 to 4 hours a month, what would you do with your time? How would you spend that time?
That's a really good question. What's at the top of your list, David?
The biggest one, when I run my webinar and when I'm talking with other folks, is it allows us opportunity to go and connect with donors, to go and connect with businesses for potential strategic partnerships where you might be able to get them to like buy in and come and help and volunteer, or to partner with other organizations. And the other thing, with more time with kids, right? Julie, like if you can spend less time focusing on the organization, so you can come and go and you can do school pickup or take them to soccer games or play with them or do art or like whatever, right? That's time that you can't get back, for sure. Creative brainstorming, crafting strategy. Yes, right? If you can get out of the day-to-day grind and go, you know what? This is good. I can leave this for tomorrow and take a half day to sit with your team, with a virtual assistant, with a vendor, and just strategize, right? That really can make a big impact in your organization, for sure.
Awesome. It sounds like a lot of people have a lot of things on their list they want to take advantage of.
This is interesting. I haven't seen like this many comments around creativity and doing that type of. So this is really cool. This is a neat group.
You're inspiring us, David.
Awesome. Yeah. So one of my core values at Wow Digital, as well as personally, is to help first, and another is empowerment via education. So with that in mind, we are going to hop in, and I've got, like I mentioned, 3 different shifts to cover with you. The first shift is about making your website look better so it can tell your story and engage users. Your website is not just an online brochure or repository of information that you just keep like dumping and popping content into, right? Anybody feel like that about their website? Oh, we need to put this right, and you just keep putting stuff in the website. It needs to fit the purpose, and you need to know who your audience is, because first impressions matter, right? So think about this for a second. How long does it take for you to decide if you trust a website when you open it up? Is it 5 seconds? Is it 2 seconds? All right, check this out. So I hope all of you have like a number in mind here.
I do.
It takes about 0.05 of a second for you to form an opinion about a website that you're looking at. All right. So in the time that it took me to just explain that, you could have judged about 30 websites, right? That's amazing.
Right. And it's the truth, because as soon as you see it, you're like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. That's
exactly.
Yes, no.
Exactly. And like I mentioned, we've evaluated over 400 websites. It's actually closer to 500. It's about 480. And we found some consistent issues. And here's some screenshots. I'm always a little bit nervous about showing these. I hope none of you that are here, these are your websites. So also keep in mind, I did not go back in time like 20 years to take these screenshots. These were about 8-9 months ago. Okay?
These are current. Okay.
Yeah, these are like current sites. Pretty spectacular, right?
Yeah.
How about these ones? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Did they remind you of your site, or a site maybe you've seen recently? So we have some learnings that came out of this audit. So the first one is that these websites tend to look kind of similar to one another, right? How do you fix this? Right? The easiest thing to do is a self-assessment and a landscape audit of other organizations like yours. Right? You want to take some screenshots of them so that you can actually analyze them. You can flip back and forth through them pretty quickly. How can you make yours stand out from them? For example, if you're in the medical space, there's a lot of blue and cyan. Do you need to stay with those colors if those are your colors? Can you veer away from them? Can you go purple? Can you go orange? I wouldn't go red if you're in medical space, because that's usually like high urgency or blood or that type of thing. So maybe, but likely not. It comes down really to branding. What are your colors? What are the colors? What are the fonts that you're using? What about the tone, the style of the messaging? Are there any similarities that you have? So as a little bit of a pro tip, put the details into a spreadsheet, color the cells with the primary and secondary colors. Do you see any similarities across all of them? All right, now how about this? 94% of customers say lousy design leads to a distrust of websites.
I'm looking back and forth because I don't want to make eye contact, because I know you're you're right there.
Right, we need sites to look really good too, right? They need to be strong design and current design trends, or recently current, right? My rule of thumb, as I was talking about earlier, is a 3-year cycle for website redesign. And if you're looking at that, again, you want to understand who the people are that you're trying to connect with, the demographic, geographics, and psychographics of your audience. So if you want to start this earlier, somewhere around the 2-year mark, you would want to kind of start the process so that by the 3-year mark, you can have the new website launched. Or if you want to go on a 4-year cycle, you start at the 3-year. Typically for a little bit larger organizations, you're looking at, we usually spend about 4 to 6 months on our projects with our clients. Smaller ones, obviously, we can move through the process quicker. So I worked at a college for about 11 years. I led 5 website redesigns. We need to make sure that the website stayed current with the latest technology and the latest trends, because our audience, they were staying younger, right? So we needed to be able to connect with them. And that's why knowing your audience is really key. Now, if you need help with your personas, and you might call them avatars, right? You're in luck. My agency, we can help you with that as well. We can dig into your analytics to create personas based on your primary website visitors. This is based on millions of data points, provided that you've got Google Analytics in your site. So we can build this out for you. It's pretty robust in terms of the depth that we can get. All right, the second learning is that, you know, there's no contact information. It's really hard to find out how to get in touch. So how can you fix this? Well, can people subscribe? Do you have an email newsletter? Do you have a lead magnet? Can they follow you on social? Do you have a contact form on the website? Do you have a phone number? Do you have an email address? Right? It's really hard sometimes to find contact info, and you want to make sure that it's not just buried in the footer of your website. Traditionally, you'll have like mailing address, you'll have your EIN or your 501c3 number, or your charitable registration, whatever, privacy policy, whatever. Don't just stick your phone number down there. I mean, it's good to have it there. A lot of people know that, like, look in the footer, but make it easy for people to find you. Okay, so over 96% of internet users are on their phone, right? They're just sitting there with their phones. Please make your phone number clickable. Right, it's really easy to make your to hyperlink your phone number so that it'll open up the default dialer. I hate going to a website. It was we had to change my children's swim schedule because we're going out of town, and we had to call. For whatever reason, I don't have the swim school in my contact list. That's been fixed, but I opened up their website and I couldn't click on their phone number. Then I had to select it, and like it was a little bit of a pain. Just make it clickable. All right, and 58% of global website traffic is coming from mobile devices. Pre-COVID, that was in the 30s. But people at home, they're sitting on their couch, they're watching TV, they're on the go. As data rates are getting cheaper for people, access to mobile devices has definitely been increasing. This trend is going to continue to go up. Also, poor mobile experience. If any of you have, I would recommend all of you open up your website, not right now, after the webinar, pay attention to what I'm talking about. So just make a note to go and do that later. Open up your website on your phone and see how it interacts. I hate having to scroll sideways on my phone. It's an awkward, really irritating movement to do, especially if you're holding the phone with one hand. The best practice for mobile devices is to scroll up and down. Now, 83% of mobile users expect a flawless experience when they visit a website. I am guilty as charged of closing websites if they didn't load right, or if I'm on my phone and it has really big text, right? I hate having to scroll when words are cut off or hyphenated when they don't necessarily need to be. So, like, not just opening up the website on your phone and does it just scroll up and down, but are the fonts adjusting appropriately? Are they scaling? Are the images scaling? Are the videos that you have on your site scaling? Does it look okay? Is your logo squished and stretched on mobile devices? That would be like the worst possible crime for your brand.
You going to website jail for that?
Sorry, pardon me. Yeah, maybe.
You said
kind of like a Monopoly game, right? Go right to jail. Do not collect $200, something like that. So having a website that can scale from desktop to tablet to mobile, that's called responsive design. Right? You want to make sure that your site is responsive. So you want to use a CMS or a theme for your site that does that. And you want to look at your website analytics to determine the devices and the screen resolutions that are being used for majority of your traffic. And then you also want to test on Apple and Android devices to make sure that the site looks appropriate, because what works in one browser doesn't always work in the other. The internet has gotten a lot better. I remember maybe 15 years ago, there was always a problem with Internet Explorer. It never worked properly, and we always had to do extra coding to make things work. All right. So by dealing with all these things, what are you going to get? Well, 62% of organizations increased action by designing responsive websites. And that's a huge increase. Now, as an added bonus, Google has said that sites that have a really great mobile experience will actually rank higher in search results. So that's a really important piece to remember as well, right? If you look at your analytics, there's probably about 60% of traffic is coming from Google, right? So you want to make sure that your site is optimized as best as possible. Now, how can you engage people through your website and your content, right? So the fourth learning is that your site just didn't engage. So there's something called a CTA, which is a call to action. Now, 70% of small organizations are lacking a call to action. People don't want to read. They skim, they look for buttons, they click, right? That's pretty much, I'm guilty of this as well. I like slap my hand for that. But what makes somebody want to dig further into your website, right? Having a lead magnet. Do you want an awesome guide on X, Y, and Z, right? Put your email in here. We'll deliver it right to your inbox. As a bonus for doing something like that, you'll end up with their email address that you can then market to them. You can tell them about your latest programs and services, offerings, etc. You can talk about the impact your organization is having. You can tell them, hey, Giving Tuesday is coming up. Make a donation, right? And then, can they explore your content easily? Can they see related posts? Do you have video on your site? Is it browsable? Can you provide them with other similar content of interest to what they're already looking at? And so what you want to do is open up your analytics. Again, almost everything I'm going to talk about today is going to tie back to analytics, because we want to make real decisions on real data, not we think this is what it is, so let's do this, right? So if you open up your analytics, what are the top performing pages? What are the top 10 pages of your website that are getting the most traffic? Put clear call to actions on those pages. All right, well, having CTAs increases engagement by 121%. That's pretty compelling, right?
That's a nugget to take home back to the boardroom.
Yeah. So the next slide here is an important one around CTAs. So what does a call to action actually look like? So call to actions that look clickable. So it looks like a button. It's not just plain text with an underline, like it actually visually stands out, right? Increases action by 45%. Now, what should the wording of it be? So complete this sentence. I want to, whatever. I want to buy new shoes. Right? The call to action would be buy new shoes, right? I want to, feed children breakfast before school, right? Call to action would be feed children breakfast, or feed children breakfast before school, or whatever, right? That's kind of the idea here. So if you want to write this down, I want to underline, the underline is what the CTA should be. All right, so the fifth learning here is that the websites were not accessible friendly. So what does that actually mean? Imagine that you're in a wheelchair and you want to go into a store. You're on the street, you're going down the street, and I want to go into this store or whatever, but there's a step, right? You can't get in. It's very similar in websites. Okay, so what does that actually really mean? It means that there are people that use the web who are blind or who have physical impairments. They might not actually use the website with a mouse, right? One of the kind of neatest technologies that I had somebody join one of my webinars with was a Braille reader. So I guess they were deaf and blind, and they joined, and they had a device, and as I was talking, it would put Braille up on the device, and they can run their finger against it, so they knew what I was saying. I'm like, oh, that is really cool. And I was like, well, how does this person surf the web, right? And so there are people that use the web that don't use traditional means of a mouse and keyboard. So if your website isn't accessible friendly, then you're leaving a large part of your market out. And not everybody browses in this way. So some of the biggest culprits are contrast. So there was a 1 million page website audit by a company called WebAIM, or an organization rather called WebAIM, and they found that 81% of the websites, so that's 810,000 out of the million websites that they looked at, had low contrast. So what does this mean? It means if you have yellow text on a white background, it's really hard to read. Or white text on a yellow background, that's just kind of the idea. So in order to have the right amount of contrast, to reach WCAG 2.2 level AA compliance, you need to have a 4.5 to 1 color contrast ratio. So if you don't know what that means, just go to Google, not right now, after the webinar, and search for color contrast checker. There's some great ones out there. One of them is contrastchecker.com. And you can put in the color values that you've got, and it'll tell you whether or not it matches that contrast ratio. There's also plugins for your browser as well as desktop apps that you can use for that. The second biggest issue is alt text. So if you have an image on your website, you need to have alternative descriptive text for it. It's called alt text, that if somebody's blind, they typically have some software, it's called a screen reader, and it will read out the content of the web page to them. And when it comes across an image, usually the default alt text is like the file name of the image. So if it's talking about, I don't know, charity car wash, blah, 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 and there's a picture of a car wash, and the alt text is img_2034.jpg. That doesn't give them any context as to what this image actually is. So you want to make sure that it makes sense for them. Now, on the other side, it actually helps with your search engine optimization, with your SEO. Google will look at the alt copy that you've got on the images. So you want to, there's some like white hat techniques to do stuff. So if you've got, if it's the charity car wash, you might want to be like car wash for, and then your organization name in the alt text, right? So you want to try to get some of the keywords that you want to be ranked for in the alt text, but it actually has to make sense. It can't just be randomly like jammed in there. Yeah, so why is this slide back in here? I need to remove this slide. Okay. All right. So if you want to take action now, you can head over to wowdigital.com/audit. We offer free website audits. So it's a quick form for you to fill out, and we can get that done for you. And what we'll do is we'll actually book a meeting with you to go through the audit. The audits are typically somewhere around 45 pages. Lots of actionable tips in there, and it's absolutely totally free. So, thank you, Lori. That's awesome.
My pleasure.
All right. Okay, so let's take a quick look at a client. This is CCHA. It's really important for your website to tell your story through the brand design and the style of your content. It needs to be fast loading, easy to navigate, quick for people to get the information they're looking for. And think about your site, as I was talking about earlier, from your user's perspective, not just your own. All right. So what does this feel like to you? This could have maybe been one of the screenshots I showed earlier, right? Does this give you any kind of emotion? What do you think this organization does, right? Like looking at this, you think it's something about like childcare.
I would guess pediatric for sure.
Right, for sure. So when we worked with them, we realized that they excel at bringing individuals affected by congenital heart disease together, fostering meaningful connections, and placing people at the heart of everything that they do. So this is what we ended up creating for them. This is just a snippet of their homepage. There's more to the page here. But what we did is instead we converted it into a website that is a visual storytelling medium that provides really easy, quick areas for people to get to the information they're looking for. And then we also cleaned up the navigation. So there's actually like a clear visual hierarchy to the website. All right, let's take a look at another one, the Patterson Foundation. I think everybody's been through this at least once. You find out about a charity or a nonprofit and you want to learn more about them. So what do? You go to Google, or now I guess you go to Perplexity or something like that, and you search for an organization that does whatever, and then you end up seeing this. All right, not quite so stunning. They have a really great mission. They want to give grants to new projects to improve the quality of life for people, but they weren't going to really do that with this look. Why would you feel compelled to apply for this grant or volunteer or help raise money, donate to them? Are they even still in business? So here's what we did for them. There's a whole new ring to it, right?
Wow.
We know scientifically that imagery with people looking at the camera will evoke a response. This kind of goes back to like caveman days, right? Where there's a lot to direct human connection, right? And we get that by looking into people's eyes, right? And this is why it's really important to create a connection, to talk about the compelling case that your organization has, and to try to make them want to take action with your cause, right? Okay, so by implementing what I've already talked about so far, you're going to have a better looking website that works across devices. You'll have a website that matches and fits your brand's look and feel, which will help you ultimately stand out from the competition. Again, I use that word kind of loosely there. And you're going to have a website that welcomes everybody, which can lead into shift number 2, which is about automation and integrating systems. So with the right tools, systems in place, you're going to get serious, really great results and save you time. So you need to make it easier and faster for you to update your website. A couple of weeks ago, I had a prospect reach out, and he said that, back in the day, he built websites. It's been at least 10 years since he's done it. He used to build them. He can control it all, but now he's not getting any traffic to their website and he doesn't know what to do. I spoke with him about implementing a content management system like WordPress. My agency, we pretty much only deal with WordPress. We deal with a little bit with Webflow and Wix and Squarespace, but it's like 95% in the WordPress sphere. And how we actually change the default WordPress builder to something that makes it much easier and faster. And he just kept arguing with me. He's like, I don't see the value in doing that. I'm like, this is the way it works now, right? Like, you haven't done this for 10 years.
You just told me you were a decade behind.
Right? You're telling me you don't understand why your site's not working the way you want it to work. Just hear me out, right? So there's different tools. There's different page builder, Wix, Squarespace, Webflow, WordPress. And inside of WordPress, there's a whole ecosystem. There's Elementor, WP Bakery, Divi, Visual Builder, etc. So in my podcast, in episode 15, I've got a link here. I talk about the differences between kind of those major platforms. So managing your website faster is great. And, being empowered to take it over without having to go to your web pro, or agency of record or volunteer, makes it faster. So let's go one step a little bit further there, which is, what if you could get more clarity about your donors, volunteers, and people that are connected to you, right? So this would be a CRM, which is a customer relationship management tool. So really, it's kind of like a glorified spreadsheet. There's usually Salesforce as a CRM, ActiveCampaign as a CRM. There's lots and lots and lots of CRMs out there. But basically, being able to go in, look up Lori, and when is the last person we connected with? When's the last time we connected with Lori? When's the last time has Lori ever made a donation? When's the last time she's made a donation, right? If she's made donations year over year over year, is she doing it at a specific time of year? Oh, interesting. Okay, she's always making donations in August. Well, what does that mean? To me, that means I need to start hitting Lori up with impact messaging in April to build a cause to get Lori to give more money come August, right? So that's something else to kind of think about is, do you just have a spreadsheet? Do you have a contact list in Outlook? That is not helpful, because you can't get other people involved in the data to help you make decisions around marketing strategy, timing of messaging, and any of that kind of like important information that we should be thinking about. Now, wouldn't it be awesome to ease your mental load? I love to leverage technology. It's kind of, I guess, one of the reasons I do what I do. But I don't want to have some things take up space in my brain, like my calendar, right? I rely so heavily on my calendar or my contact list. I know my parents' phone number. I know my sister's number. I know my wife's number. I know my aunt's number. But like my best friend, I don't remember his number, right?
We used to years ago, but now we don't.
No. right? So I'm leveraging technology to free up space in my brain to have capacity for the things that I think are more important in my life that I need to do. So imagine automating. Somebody signs up on your fills out a contact form on your website, having that information automatically go into a CRM that you can then automatically send them your email marketing newsletters when you send it out every quarter, every week, every month, whatever your cadence happens to be. When you're dealing with somebody having to go and copy and paste from one system into another, there's human error that can come into play. So what we want to do is leverage automation where we can. So these are some of the platforms here, right, that we work with in terms of systems and automations and getting the right tool for the right purpose, right? If you want to host auctions, Octria, right? Don't try and go and custom build your own thing. It's just like the pain and suffering of going through that is just really not worth it. Same with email, right? We've got Constant Contact, we've got MailChimp. There's automation tools like Integrately, Elbato, Zapier Make, IFTTT. There's so many of them out there. So imagine on your website, you go and you post content. There's a new blog article, right? We can set up an automation. You can do it yourself as well, where when you post that, it will automatically create a new campaign in your email platform with all the information. So you don't have to go copy and paste, right? I wouldn't send it out automatically. You always want to take a quick look at it, make sure like it looks good, but you can just have that automatically happen and save you time. All right, so benefits of this are that you'll make editing and maintenance easier, and you don't necessarily need to be technical. You'll be able to save time, 3, 4, 5 hours a month, hopefully more, by doing this type of stuff. Now I've got one more shift, but what I want to do right now is give Lori a moment to talk about Octria for you.
Awesome. I'm going to share my screen real quick also because I want to show you.
Do I need to end it here? I'll end it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
So I had mentioned before, within the Octria platform, of course, we have event website templates that are already set up. And David took a look at them. He's like, Laura, you need some help. And I said, will you help me? And he said, yes. And so this is not rolled out on our global templates yet, but it will be soon, designed by David and the WOW team. And our templates just got a lot smarter. They were smart before. They're like Mensa smart now, David. Talk about automation. On the dashboard, if you put in your tickets, it will automatically show up on the event website. Once you have your auction catalog ready, that'll show up automatically. If you add raffle within your dashboard, it'll show up on this menu page. So it's doing all the work for you. These are just placeholders, but you can see David had located the donation button bright and center with the bright contrast up there. Much prettier on the bidding start times, the donation and the thermometer, the thermometer at the bottom. And as you page through on the other pages, we've got the high contrast here, and this would be your sample tickets, of course. Your sponsorships can be listed on here, your auction, your live auction preview, all that fun stuff, and your raffles. And then, of course, the donate area. So we are always looking to improve Octria. We are always adding on features when you're running your auction, your raffles, your Giving Tuesday. We have a page that you just click one button and it sets up your Giving Tuesday donation page. We work in our communities, fundraising and helping organizations raise money personally, volunteering, but also working here at Octria. So I appreciate David helping us take that leap into the modernization of the event websites. And this will be available for you guys shortly on our global template. So David, thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. No problem. Happy to help. Again, this is how we're getting closer to helping 5,000 organizations, right? So that's fantastic. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna pop open sharing here and we'll hop back into the webinar. We might go a couple minutes over. I hope that if you've got some time to kind of hang out still. But Awesome. Yeah, so that was a great showcase of the platform. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Lori. We also gave a couple other mock-ups over there, so there might be some other new templates down the road. So
yes,
stay
that's
tuned.
True.
Okay, so like I was talking about, there's solutions to make editing and maintenance easier for non-technical people, save you time. I'm going to skip over this this example here, but really quickly, this was this organization's website before. The graphic in the middle was one graphic. They couldn't edit it. It just kind of looked like somebody smashed something up there. This is the redesign that we did for them. They want to look like the Faculty of Medicine. So this is for the University of Toronto. And we kind of pulled design from there and then made this happen for them. This is the website where they had 3 different backends for managing it. And we merged all that into the one WordPress backend for them. So they can manage researcher profiles, education profiles, and the website itself, all from within WordPress. So we do web design, digital marketing. We're niched in nonprofits, charities, and NGOs. We want to help kickstart your digital strategy, and our Mission Accelerator program will allow you to get started and implement a new website that will help engage the world. For anybody that is struggling with time and is looking to take their presence to the next level, just head over, book a free consult with me. Happy to chat with you. We could talk about the Octria platform if you want to leverage that as well. Happy to chat. So just wowdigital.com/consult. All right. So now let's say you've had your website redesigned. Maybe you did it, you launched it today, let's say, right? It looks and feels great. Your tools are sharp. But having that, your job isn't done, right? You're not really fully set up for success. So the last shift here that I want to talk about is your content. Your website is not just one and done. You need to have ongoing content and updates to your website over time, as well as your social channels. Aside from keeping visitors up to date and in the know, Google will actually recognize that you're adding content to your website over time and that you care about your website, and you are going to start ranking higher in search. So if you don't have Google Analytics on your website, I know I talked about analytics a whole bunch today, get in touch with me. We will set it up for you for free, right? It's really quick to do. We'll connect you and get that all ready to go in your site with you. So you'll have access to that as well. Universal Analytics 3, UA3, stopped collecting data in July of 2023. And the UA3 data will be, or should have already been deleted from your account. I think they were giving it until the end of July this year. So make sure that your website has Google Analytics 4. If you don't look at your analytics very often, chances are you're probably on UA3. You need to upgrade to GA4. Reviewing the data quarterly, I would say, is kind of the bare minimum. You want to make sure that you've got that you have a handle on, like, what is the content that's driving traffic to your website. As a little tip, the content that's driving traffic to your website creates more content that is like the stuff that's working. It's working. Why stop making that, right? Do more, right? And then on those pages that are working, like I talked about before, make sure you've got those CTAs where you need it. So right now I'm going to show you why content is so important. There is a organization, I've redacted it from the slides here because I don't really want to call them out on this, but they are a $200 million annual revenue health organization. They are world renowned. They went through what they're not our client. This is publicly available data. So this is out there. Their website was redesigned. They didn't really pay attention and do proper planning. So they launched it. The arrows on the charts here indicate when they actually launched it. What is it here? Where am I? I've got my notes here. So they're ranked keywords. So the chart over here on the left is the keywords that Google is indexing for them, what they've got. It dropped quite significantly right after they launched the website. And then this is the number of pages that they have in Google's database. Google doesn't just remove your page right away from search results because maybe there was like a server problem or the site was down temporarily when it went to look at your site. It usually takes anywhere from 45 to 60 days for them to go, okay, this doesn't exist anymore, we're going to remove it. And that's why it took about 2 months here before it started declining. So what are these numbers actually? In November of 2020, they were ranked for 235,000 keywords. In April, they had lost just under 75% of their ranked keywords because they didn't do proper planning. That's huge. So you need to make sure that that you understand where people are coming to your site. This is really easy to fix. They just didn't plan it properly. In episode 6 of my podcast, so like really early episode, I talk about when you're going through a redesign, what should you do with your content, with your old content. So I think that's a good one for you all to listen to. We also do, I don't know if you can see my video right now, but I've got a content planner board on the wall here. We do this with some of our clients. And this is a chart here showing what happened. So phase 1 is what our clients were doing before we came along. We started creating content for them on a monthly basis, and we almost doubled their traffic. Right, so they were about 230 to 250 unique visits a month. We got them to about 400, 375 to 400. And then we said, let's actually ramp this up. Let's push this. And we started posting weekly for them. And we were able to 7 times their unique organic traffic from Google. And so we're at like 1,452 unique visits a month. From organic.
That's awesome.
Sorry, pardon, Laura?
That's awesome. And that content is related to like blog articles or news articles or new information that's on their website. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and the articles are not big. They're like 400, 500, 600 words. They're not giant PhD dissertations, right? But what we're doing is we're actually looking at the data. What are people interested in? What's being talked about? What's newsworthy information that's related to their cause, and create content around that, because that's going to create more, not authority, but more interest from search. Okay, cool. So CTAs, these are just a couple CTAs that you can integrate. If you want like a massive list, Constant Contact has a great article with like, I don't know, 200 CTAs or something like that. So if you're interested, just get in touch and I can send you a link to that one as well.
David, I'm going to bring up a comment that came in a little earlier, which is relevant to this slide. Juliet asked, is donate too redundant?
A lot of organizations will put a donate link in their header of their web, like that top section of their website. Mm-hmm. I think that's okay. But when you're in a page about that has an article about why it's important for people to have wheelchair access in their cars or something like that, right? For whatever the reason is, I don't know. The call to action shouldn't be donate. The call to action should be very specific about what is related to that article or what is related to that page content. So if your organization works with schools and you have a page talking about vulnerable communities and how they need school supplies, the call to action could be donate a backpack. Right? Instead of just donate. People want to give something that feels a bit more tangible than just giving money, that they know that it's going to something very specific.
Thank you.
And if you really want to level that up, if people are clicking through that donate a backpack, a month later, follow it up with an email saying, here's how many backpacks we were able to donate. Thank you so much. Right? Like, and tie the messaging back to what the call to action was. Yeah, awesome. All right, so adding content to your website, it's not an instant fix, but it will help you over time, right? It can be done relatively quickly. I was just talking with a client today and they were saying, oh, we want to add 120 pages to our website around these articles, whatever. I said, okay, cool. You cannot do that all at once. Google will see you as trying to skim and scam their system, right? Great, you have this idea. roll it out over 8 months. Do like 3 articles a week, right? So increasing your content publishing on a consistent basis, you're going to get more search engine visibility. Increasing your posting on social, you'll get more followers. You'll start to build your know, like, and trust factors that will showcase the value of your organization. And the main intent is that you're going to get more people coming to you, right? And with the right calls to action, when they come there, they'll know exactly what you want them to do. All right, so you'll have an easy way to update your website. You'll be able to focus on other priorities. You'll post content frequently. You're going to get more people. And then at the end of this, you're going to have a website that actually really highlights and showcases the importance of the impact that you have. All right, this is another before and after. You can see, like, we made it much more compelling. Instead of like a lot of copy and being bland and boring, we made it punchier. We had a little bit more contrast with the colors. We made it very clear about, like, here's what they do and here's how to get in touch and all that type of stuff. This was a much more complex because there was like a whole other API system we had to integrate with. This is the current WordPress editor. This is one of the 2 editors that we replace it with. It really is a true drag and drop. Within 2 clicks, you can take a section and split it anywhere from 1 to 6 columns. You don't have to code anything, no style sheet, anything like that. It's all done through the interface. And if anybody here has worked with a web agency or developer before, we have a feedback module that we integrate. It's just as simple as like putting a Post-it note on the web page. You click, you can leave a comment, you can upload graphics, you can put your revised copy into there. It really does make it a lot easier to work with us than any other vendor or supplier web agency. And yeah, at the end of the day, you don't have to be a multi-million-dollar organization to have $1 million impact. You just need to make the right decisions that'll help you go to the next level and really kind of commit to having a better future for your organization. Digital transformation is going to start with you.